Okay, let's think about what it is that you can do during labour and birth. Hang on, let's just mess around with my screen. Okay, so what often comes up in conversation is that women who are preparing for labour know that there's so much of this that is out of their control, and so fear can come with that. So with this, I wanted to just cover some of the things that you can do, that you have an active role in some way, even if it might not feel like a lot and it might feel like the small details, because overall the pattern and pace of your labour will be what it will be. And as I've included here, part of that is accepting this pattern of your labour. We all go into this with either expectations or anticipation of what labour and birth will be like, possibly based on previous experience, possibly based on what we see on telly. And the reality for us all is that on the day, it is what it is. So accepting that and working with it go a long way in enabling you to be as relaxed as possible and able to say what you need. Because if it's longer than you anticipated, maybe you need to make different decisions about pain management because you need to rest and you need a break. So sometimes things can impact the options available to you as well as the decisions that you make that you hadn't been able to anticipate when you weren't in labour. So let's just talk through these. So, moving really does make a difference so that you can be led by what feels right for your body, to move in a way that feels instinctive, that feels as comfortable as possible, that allows you to have gravity so that you can rest, so that you can have the support that you need. Now, being off the bed will help more with that. That's not to say you shouldn't be on the bed if that's where you want or need to be. It's just knowing the limitations of that and adapting accordingly. For all births, your breathing makes such a difference, because if you can just slow down the pace of your breathing, and as you breathe out, get rid of any tension that you might be holding on to, that means that you're not panicky. You manage kind of overwhelm and anxiety in that way, but also it means that the hormones that's needed for labour and birth can be more balanced as well. Linked in with that, which I've just mentioned, don't hold on to tension. So with pain and with contractions, if you are kind of gritting teeth, if your shoulders are really tight, if you're kind of essentially greeting a contraction with tension, there's every chance that contraction's going to hurt way more than it needs to. It might not be as effective as it could be, but also there's that real negative connection with God. Here's another one. And it stops you from being able to work with it. If it's not possible to work with it in a more accepting way, then does your pain relief need to change? What pain relief are you using? What can you alter about that? What do you need to feel better able to work with what's going on with your contractions? Which again, links into say what you need. You are at the center of this. There's nobody else with you who's in labour. It is your show. So you need to say what you need. And that's crucial, that you give yourself a voice, or you work with your partner to have a voice. And, that really does make a difference, to speak up. And it can be in the gentlest of ways, but it's important that you feel that you can, rather than feel that you've got to wait to be told what to do. This is all happening in you. Be led by that as much as possible. Rest is really important, especially if this is over kind of several hours into days, and doing everything to maximize that. So using positions where you can rest in between contractions. Is it comfortable to lie down for a bit to rest? You're prioritizing rest makes a huge difference. As we looked at in the overview slides, you need to go for regular wheeze, probably every hour, even if it's just a little bit, because ideally you're drinking plenty of water, and with that can bring a full bladder. So your baby needs that space to be in a better position. And I've been at labours where bladders have been full, you know, things have, before you know it, time takes on a different thing in hospital. Before you know it, it's been 3 hours since she's been for a wee, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, you're uncomfortable. Things aren't progressing. Let's empty that bladder. And things really change after that as well. So it's always worth including that and thinking about that. Eat. So many people feel that they can't eat in labour because this is seen as being a medical event. Yes, if you need medical interventions, you're not eating. But if you don't have an epidural in place, if you're not induced with the oxytocin drip, if there's, you know, if a C-section's not what's happening next, then you can absolutely eat little and often. Pack plenty of options, ideally, in your birth bag, so that you've got things that are easy to digest, that aren't going to take up lots of room, they're not going to make you sluggish, that's going to give you energy. So, you know, that could be fruit, nuts, I don't know, not too many kind of things that are going to make you feel full or sick. So you don't really want kind of chocolate, and you just want little bits of things. Honey's great, bananas are great, seeds and nuts are great. But sometimes, again, it's about listening. I was at a labour once where we were like, oh no, you don't want too much. And she said, I really need something to eat. Like, I really need something to eat. So we were like, right, what do you want? And you know, she kind of just polished off a meal. And that worked for her. So again, you've got to say what you need. If you're ravenous, you've got to go with it. Again, yeah, go with it. Go with what you need. Really let your instincts kick in. Drink plenty of water. You're not asking permission to do anything. This is your labour. So that again is something that I will see. Can I do this? Turn that into I am doing this. There's very few things, unless there's a true emergency happening, which is very rare, where you can't just lead the way and say what you're doing, to move, to be off the bed, to be on the bed, to go to the loo, to sit on the loo, to stay on the loo, to do whatever. So sometimes positioning is about going to the bathroom and staying in there for an age because it feels comfortable to be sitting on the toilet for a bit. You know, just do what feels right for you, which is linked in there, but also ultimately, what do you need to feel safe? And that can be information and reassurance. That can be eye contact and connection. That can be just the lighting changing. You know, whatever, the smallest tweaks I've seen make the biggest difference to a woman in labour, because you're in control of that environment a bit. So if you feel like there's so much of labour and birth that is beyond your control, there are actually some small but essential things that you can do, that you can be in control of, that could make a difference to how you ultimately feel. Let's stop sharing this. And one of the things just on that subject, a little story I want to tell you, is A few years ago, I was at a birth, very straightforward, second baby. I'd also been at the birth of the first baby as well. Both times, um, mum had loved the idea of being in water. First time, just wasn't for her. She was in for a while, she couldn't relax, and she got out. Second time, she wanted to try it again. She was in. She initially liked it fine, and about 20 minutes in, I was just sat with her, and I said to her, "What's the matter?" I just sensed that something wasn't quite right. And she looked at me and she said, "I absolutely hate this." And I said, "Be specific. Hate what?" And she said, "I hate this water." And I said, "Right, what do you want?" And she said, "I want to be wrapped up in my dressing gown. I want to feel cozy and safe." So I said, "Right, that's exactly what we do." Now, the midwife had been out the room, so she came in and she was like, "Oh, what's going on?" And I very briefly explained, and she was completely supportive. And she said, "Right, well, if it's not working, it's not working." And I saw the difference in this woman in labour go from feeling quite exposed, and in her words, she felt quite vulnerable, to being wrapped up, what was cozy and safe for her, and she was a happier person, and the contractions were coming, and she had a baby not too long afterwards, really. So I just feel like some of this isn't rational, and some of this you can't truly plan for. You just have to go with what feels right for you, and that's okay. So don't overthink it. Just do and go with what really matters for you.